Today I'm at the Montgomery Mall in North Wales, Pennsylvania. And unfortunately, I think I can say pretty confidently that this is a dead mall. I was here on a Sunday afternoon around 3 p.m., which I would expect to be one of the busiest times of week for a mall. But there was a pretty severe lack of foot traffic in here. And of the people I did see, quite a few of them, including this woman in front of me, were just mall walkers. They weren't actually here shopping. And when your mall is pretty much deserted on a Sunday afternoon, that is not a good sign. Quite a few of the stores on this directory are no longer here, so this hasn't been updated in a while. This to our right used to be Wanamaker's from the mall's opening in 1977 until 1995. Then it was Hex from 1995 to 1997, Strawbridge's from 1997 to 2006, and finally Boscov's from 2007 to 2008. Then the building was demolished in 2012 and a new Wegmans was built in its place, which opened in November of 2013. And of course you also have the Eddie Bauer on the inside of the mall. The Wegmans itself is only accessible from the outside of the mall. I was actually in the Wegmans after I was done in the mall, and it was a completely different story in there. That place was packed, which I understand Wegmans usually are. I'd never actually been in a Wegmans before, but I decided to check it out. I had some grocery shopping to do, and there wasn't really a ShopRite on my way home, so figured I'd shop at Wegmans. But getting back to the mall, Montgomery Mall celebrated its grand opening on Saturday, February 26, 1977. Local celebrities Captain Noah and Al Alberts were among those in attendance. When the mall first opened, it had two anchor stores, Wanamaker's and JCPenney, with Sears and Bamberger's opening later in 1977. Other early stores at the mall included Woolworth's, CVS, Roy Rogers, Walden Books, and B. Dalton. It wouldn't be a dead mall without a closed Hollister. I feel like every time I see this Hollister facade nowadays, it's always closed. And here's a closed Express, and you can still see inside of it. In fact, of the vacant stores in this mall, and there are many, you can still see inside a lot of them. Malls will usually put up drywall or black out the windows so that you can't see inside the vacant stores, but it doesn't seem like they bothered with that a whole lot here. This H&M here must have just closed because it was still open in a video I saw recently that was filmed in December of 2024. And it looks like they put up a goodbye message on the wall telling you to check out their website. I've seen that at a few different malls. I don't know if they get permission from the mall to do that, or if they just do it and the mall doesn't care. Thank you, North Wales. Here's JCPenney, which as I mentioned has been here since the mall opened, but I'm not sure how much longer it's going to be here, because I was actually in there after I was done filming the mall, and I think I counted about 5 people, so I really can't see it lasting for much longer, but I guess we'll just have to wait and see. This mall also has one of those bungee jump things like the Franklin Mills Mall and the Plymouth Meeting Mall. And it was actually open for business when I was here, surprisingly. Alright, here's the food court, which is honestly not in quite as bad condition as I was expecting it to be. Not that it's in great condition. But I think there were 5 open places and 5 closed places. So I've definitely seen worse. But again, there's a distinct lack of major brands in here. I think the only chain I recognize is Charlie's, which seems to be in pretty much every mall food court, no matter how dead it is. Montgomery Mall was acquired by the Simon Property Group in 2003, and they owned it up until 2021. At that point, the mall was foreclosed upon, and they ended up selling to Cohan, which has a reputation for being a bit of a mall killer. Before Simon sold the mall, they kind of painted over their name on all of the signage here, and they didn't exactly do a great job of it, as you'll see in a little bit. They would end up doing the same thing at the Franklin Mills Mall before they surrendered it in 2024. When Cohan took over, they didn't announce any major changes to the mall. They did end up selling the Wegmans in 2022 to Exchange Right for $22.6 million. Coming up here is Sears, which opened in 1977 and closed in 2020. And this building is actually still owned by Transformco, the parent company of Sears. And it's available for lease on their website in case you're interested. If you look at the mall's website today, you'll see that it's owned by a company called Summit. But I couldn't find any articles about the mall being sold again, so I'm not exactly sure when Cohan sold it to Summit. I did read, though, that the CFO of Summit used to be the CFO of Cohan, so I'm really not sure what's going on there. I thought maybe Summit is a subsidiary of Cohan, but there's really not a whole lot of information online about this. But what I do know is that it is owned by Summit now. When Cohan first took over the mall in 2021, the occupancy rate was 73%. It's a lot worse today. When I got home, I watched the video and counted the number of open stores versus closed stores because I couldn't find a current figure for occupancy rate. I counted roughly 42 open stores and 55 closed stores, which would put the occupancy rate at about 43%, which is really bad. Over half of the stores in this mall are closed, and it seems like the closures just keep coming. You will see that some of the closed stores have signs saying that they're available for lease, so it seems like at least Summit is trying to bring in new tenants, but I doubt they're going to get very many. I honestly have a hard time imagining this mall still being open in 2 or 3 years. I kind of have a feeling they're going to go the way of Neshaminy Mall and Monmouth Mall, demolish it and turn it into an outdoor shopping center, possibly with apartments. But I just feel like there's no way this mall will still be here in a few years. Not in its current form, at least. By the way, if it seems a little dark in here, that's because it actually was. The lighting seemed to be turned down, probably to save electricity. It seems like they mostly depend on natural light, and it was pretty cloudy out the day I was here, so there wasn't a whole lot of sunlight coming in. And that's why my camera's a little bit shaky. It's really not made for poor lighting like this. Here's Macy's, which was originally Bamberger's from 1977 to 1986 when it became Macy's. This store seemed a little busier than the JCPenney when I was in there. Montgomery Mall has undergone a few renovations over the years. The first one was in 1997, and I have to say the flooring in here reminds me a lot of the Oxford Valley Mall, which also was owned by Kravco up until 2003. And their last major renovation on the inside was in 1995, so I would have to imagine that this flooring is probably from the 1997 renovation. Then in 2008, the mall underwent another renovation, which included updating the entrances, remodeling the food court, and adding new interior lighting, landscaping improvements, restroom upgrades, and seating areas, as well as a new Dick's Sporting Goods on the first floor. Then in 2014, another renovation was done on the northern wing of the mall, which is where we are now, and that included a redesigned exterior and entrance, as well as refreshed retail spaces, a new escalator, a new children's play area, new family restrooms, some new stores, and 2 new outward-facing restaurants by the entrance I came in. Now, see, this is what I mean. You see how they painted over the Simon logo in black? And you can still kind of see it. I guess they didn't use the best paint, huh? I like how this sign says that Ann Taylor and J. Jill are now open. They opened in 2014. That sign must have been there for the last decade. Like I mentioned, Dick's opened in 2008. It does seem like the first floor is a little bit livelier than the second floor, but there's still a lot of vacancies down here. Especially as you make your way toward the other end by the JCPenney. You'll see the vacancies increase. I'm assuming this here on the right used to be Vans, because there was a Vans at Neshaminy Mall that had that exact same facade. It seems like every mall has to have a cell phone repair store. This one clearly used to be a jewelry store. This tailor store here was closed because it was a Sunday, but I looked them up and they actually are still in business. I was actually kind of surprised to learn that. This used to be Lens Crafters, that's closed. They've moved. You know your mall is dead when even Lens Crafters leaves. Another mall staple is the booth that sells cell phone cases, and apparently they also fix cell phones. Here's the first floor entrance to the old Sears. There's another one of those whited out, in this case, Simon logos. Something new is on its way, it says. Somehow I doubt that. It looks like the mall uses this store to store all of their Christmas decorations. There's the tree and the signs about Santa. Looks like there's bumper cars in here. And this isn't actually vacant. I think it's actually used for storage by the guy who operates the bungee jump. Because as soon as I walked away, he went over and opened the gate. You can kind of hear that right now. So I guess that's his storage area. This on the right here must have been Payless, because I recognize that logo on the wall. That was the logo they had for the last few years before they went out of business. I was surprised to see a Gertrude Hawkes here, because most of the ones at the malls near me closed years ago. I'm also surprised that this mall can support 2 Annie Ann's pretzels. I have to say, this little section of the mall had a pretty funky smell. I think it was the combination of the pretzels, the nail salon, and the hair salon. Those smells just did not go together at all. Here you got a dentist office. Obviously that's going to be closed on Sundays. But I'm pretty sure they're still in business though. Now take a look at this here. This clearly used to be Time After Time, and I guess they closed and somebody else moved in. They just put a bag over the word after and renamed the store Time Ends Time. Very classy. I think this on the right here might have been the Disney store, because the one at Oxford Valley Mall had that same facade. Although it is pretty small, though. I don't remember the Oxford Valley one being that small. And this seems to be closed permanently. This here on the right used to be Zoomies. And this here was clearly Spencer's. Both of those were still open in December of 2024, so they must have closed very recently. This place here has some weird hours. According to the sign, they're closed Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, but they are open Sunday. And this was Sunday, so I'm assuming they're just out of business. This place here, Art Expo, was also at the Plymouth Meeting Mall. Never heard of it until then, though. So that'll just about do it for this tour of the Montgomery Mall in North Wales, Pennsylvania. I think this is very clearly a dead mall. I don't think anyone can really argue against that. This place is in a downward spiral. 43% occupied, and I'm sure that number will drop even more in the coming months. And like I said, I really can't imagine that this mall will last much longer. So if you want to see it, then I suggest that you get out here soon, because your time might be running out. However, as far as I know, there aren't any current plans to demolish it or redevelop it or anything like that, but still, I just can't imagine it lasting much longer. Sadly, I think it's past the point of no return, but I guess we'll just have to wait and see what the future holds. Anyway, thanks for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you again soon.